Our system is not that easy to just walk into. So for us, the trade deadline I think is always exciting and fun. Most of the time, if you look back at the history of the league, there isn't a trade that produced a championship. I think Clyde Drexler went to the Rockets years ago. But if you look at like a major trade that said that's the reason why they won or a huge part of it, it's pretty uncommon. But maybe that happens this year. I don't know. We'll see.
Another three. Got it! 62! 62! And he actually surpasses his buddy Clay. For Lamb on the other side. Clay's got a good look. His three is good! Long distance Curry. Hits a three at the buzzer.
You see him turn his back after he released his shot.
Wiggins to Poole. Poole gets it off in time. Oh, he banks it in! He banks it in!
For NBA history, he got it! 14 threes in a game. Has never been done until tonight.
Poole with the ball. Launches.
Yeah, D. Yeah. Can y'all hear me? Turn me up. There we go. Yo. Welcome to WarriorSince91 podcast. It's your boy, Izze, Too Real, coming to you for another round of a week of Warriors basketball here on February 16th, 2023. Recording this here right before the All-Star break, right before the All-Star festivities start, which will be tomorrow on Friday. It's a lot to get into, though, man. 29 and 29. That's all we could just start off saying. 29 and 29. We could talk about the week, how the week went, that 1-2 week right before the All-Star break. Talk about the defense of this team. A lot of interviews has taken place also, too, since pretty much the season has went into the All-Star break. So we'll get into the GP2 injury update, how he be reevaluated. We'll talk about Steph's update. We'll also get into some game reviews with the Lakers, the Wizards, and the Clippers for last week. And then we'll talk about the buyout market. A lot of talk about the buyout market, who got bought out as of recently. Guys like Kevin Love and maybe Serge Ibaka. That one hasn't become official yet, but we'll see. And then we'll talk about the James Wiseman experiment, how that's ended, and how now he's played his first game for Detroit and how that's looked. So we'll talk about that as well. I do want to get into something just personally, and that's about Steve Kerr and how he is with young players. So I want to talk about that. I want to mention guys that he's had under his tutelage, if you will, and he didn't do a good job with them at all. Actually did a shitty job, if you ask me. So I want to talk about that as well. Just fixing the audio. My bad. So get into that. As far as with the news of the week, let's start off too with the injuries. Because we knew about the trade that took in place that sent James Wiseman to Detroit, that sent Kevin Knox to Portland, that sent Sadiq Bey to Atlanta, and sent GP2 back to out here to the Golden State Warriors, and how that went. GP2's injury, they're labeling it as an abdominal injury. They said that he'll be reevaluated in about a month, so it looks like maybe that original timeline of, 3 months, it don't look like that's going to be what it is. Hopefully, they're still hoping and talking with an optimistic mind that he'll be able to make it back right before the playoffs, just so he could be able to get some games under his belt. And the way the defense is right now, God damn it, they going to need it. Because the way the shit's looking right now, it's not looking like a team that's going to be able to get too far in the playoffs. I'm not one of those guys who believe that once they get in the playoffs, they can beat anybody. Not with the size that they have and not with the unwillingness to play defense that they've had so far. And I'm not even talking about the vet guys because they haven't been that good themselves. But I'm just talking about the younger guys, some guys that you're going to even be dependent on later on. I'm not even saying the younger guys, the bench guys. Your two-way guys that probably only got like 9 to 13 games left between the both of them, respectively. So, Steph's injury, he came to the podium and he talked for a minute. You see, I don't like using this mic because it be sounding like that. Yeah, but Steph came to the mic and he talked for a minute. He was talking about how he'll be reevaluated right after the All-Star break. All-Star break is pretty much over on February 24th. That'll be the game. That'll be the day games start back. He has assured us that he will not be playing the first game back against Los Angeles Lakers in LA. So we know that much. So will he be reevaluated right after the break? So well, my prediction is that he'll probably be back first week of March. If not the first week, then maybe the second week right before his birthday. So he'll be back right before the playoffs just to get some games under his belt as well. To get moving because he's going to need it, especially if he's going to expect to be the guy to carry this team throughout the whole playoff push, which will have to include, 16 wins? 4, 8, 12, 6, I think, 16 wins. So he will have to carry them for 16 wins or at least the majority of them. So we'll see how Steph's injury goes, but again, I predict that he'll be back probably first week of March. But to me, the more important thing is just going to be this team's defense, man, because the defense it just sucks right now. Draymond came to the podium and he talked about it as well right after the last game against the Clippers, and he talked about just guys' willingness to play defense. There isn't any, and that's a bad thing, especially coming from a team who is actually the current NBA champions, a team who has aspirations to go out and get another chip this year to repeat, and to have guys on your roster that does not have the willingness to compete on the defensive end is baffling. And another thing that kind of leads to that as well, I think in my mind, is the absence of Mike Brown. And it's not really being talked about enough about the absence of Mike Brown. And then you see what he's doing with the Sacramento Kings, which pretty much has the same roster that they had last year, minus Tyler Hansborough. And really, he wasn't even there at the second half of the season. So, and they weren't winning games, and they weren't as engaged, and they weren't playing defense. I watched their games. They are actually playing defense, whether people want to give them credit for it or not. They're actually out there playing defense. But watching them go out there and do the things that the Warriors were doing, and which had their success, it shows you right there. It's a kind of telltale sign of who was the one and who was the brains behind the operations with the defense. Because as soon as Mike Brown leaves, your defense is shitty as hell. I mean, come on. And it doesn't take a brain scientist to even see this. And everyone wants to talk about how Steve Kerr doesn't adjust. And I agree. He does not adjust. I will not give Steve Kerr credit for anything this season. I give him I do. I give him credit for how the hell the season's going and why they're a 500 team, because half of it is his fault. Half of it's his fault not having the willingness to play James Wiseman in a position where he can be an offensive threat, even though we know that he's not a defensive player, but still go in there and play him. And then you have the nerve to get on the radio and say that there just wasn't a fit and you didn't have time to play him. How you don't have time to play him when half your damn roster is injured? Andre Iguodala has played one game this season, taking up the 15th roster spot. I love Andre Iguodala. Hell, I moved Andre Iguodala's house when I'm not going to say where he moved from, none of that. I got to meet the guy one time. You know what I mean? So what I want to say with that is, like, it's crazy to see him on the bench and not playing. I think I understand the motive behind it, which is just like, just hold him off like one of the free agents. Say like a Carmelo Anthony gets signed right now and then he plays the whole second half of the season. I feel like that's what they're doing with Andre Iguodala, but they just sold him up to make sure that he's there and to give that guidance to Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga has really been a highlight of the season, of the shitty-ass season that we've been watching so far. Jonathan Kuminga has been the highlight, and a lot of that goes to Andre Iguodala, and a lot of people don't know about their off-court relationship as well, how cool they are, how Andre Iguodala tries to help the young guy mature and teach him different ways and teach him on the basketball court. Who do you think that he's practicing with? I think their lockers are even next to each other. So for the people out there that are saying that Andre Iguodala is a waste of a roster spot, I don't feel that he's a waste of a roster spot, but I do feel like he needs to play, and he has not been there, so we can't even count him. But the other guys that we do have out there don't take the consideration to want to play defense. But you're missing so much with this team, and this is with or without Steph. As far as like the buyout market, is there someone out there that they could probably get? The news came out today, which is the 16th of February, that Kevin Love was released from his, will be getting a release, will be getting waived, or whatever you want to call it, getting a buyout from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And a lot of people think that he might be a fit. And to me, I if it's going to be a waste of a roster spot, well, put it like this, before I even get into my opinion about it. This team is lacking defense. They're missing shot blockers. They're missing not even really a shot blocker, just someone who can help change shots at the rim. He doesn't even have to necessarily be a shot blocker getting 3 a game, but just someone who can change shots at the bucket besides Draymond. They don't have anyone else like that. So to say that you want to sign a guy like Kevin Love, who's around, 32, 33 years old and never has played defense in his life, they are missing rebounding, especially because they give up too many offensive rebounds. So he would be very helpful on that end, but on the offensive end is not really where their struggles is. It's defensively. It's for when they do go on droughts. Can you cut the other team's water off and make them go on the drought with you? And they don't have that. So I'm not one of the believers that feel like Kevin Love should be one of the guys on this team. If they do so happen to sign him and he does well and help I don't want to say help lead this team, but help contribute to this team winning a championship, then hey, I'll maybe eat my words, but until then, I'm not too sure that he's the guy to actually sign. They say that the Miami Heat is interested in him. Hey, maybe I'll let him just go to Miami. They won't be a threat to you anymore. I think you faced them already twice, so you're really done with them. So I wouldn't really too much see that as a threat. But what I would probably consider is, and hear me out, maybe a 36-year-old Serge Ibaka. He has not played well, or really hasn't played really at all for like the last couple of seasons. He really hasn't. But I do remember seeing him in a few games in Milwaukee. I just think he was buried behind guys like Brook Lopez, guys like Bobby Portis. He was buried behind those guys who were playing phenomenal for Milwaukee. Plus Giannis is your superstar. Plus you can also play Chris Middleton at your 4 as well. So there wasn't really room for him. So for him to get waived, I do think that there's still some value. There's still some value with him, or some value with him playing as a backup 5, break in case of emergency type of deal, save the knees and save the legs and try to get some shot blocking from him. But they're going to need size. They absolutely need size. They shouldn't be looking for any type of guard anymore to be out there. I understand you need help at stopping the point of attack, but you already have GP. And the trade has not been rescinded. The trade was accepted. It has been completed. GP2 is now a Warrior. So you just have to sit back and wait for his injury to heal up. Hopefully it heals up in time before the playoffs so he could get some chemistry going with the guys. But all in all, you need to go get a big man. And the other guy that I will look for, he's not even in the buyout market, but just in the free agent pool. I know I thought about Hassan Whiteside before, but just after seeing and hearing some things about him and how he's perceived around the NBA and around the executive brass in the NBA, I understand why he won't be the guy to get signed. But I would give, especially if I'm Bob Myers, I would give DeMarcus Cousins the chance just to be a big body, just to be, because he knows the system already. You felt comfortable enough to get GP2 back because you felt like he knew the system. You didn't have to acclimate him into something new. You didn't have to acclimate a new guy into the system, which is very hard, as Bob Myers said at the beginning of the show with that interview, thanks to 95.7 The Game, or The Beat, whichever one, goddammit, you know what I mean, but shout out to them. Yeah, just to say that, those type of guys are needed, and with Bob Myers saying that, this team, he feel like they can make it. I feel like they can make it too. You just have to wait for GP2 to come back. At some point in time, though, before all these guys could be healed up, because I'm still thinking, like, would DeMarcus Cousins help? I'm sorry, because I know I just went kind of quiet and like kind of started mumbling a bit, because I was just thinking, like, would DeMarcus Cousins really help? And you know what? No, I'm going to stick with my first thought. He would help. He absolutely would be a help, because he does actually know the system, and because of being a big body, the way that he played last year with Denver, I don't even understand why Denver didn't re-sign him. So maybe it could be an attitude issue, like him and Bob Myers discussed on the phone. There was an article that came out earlier this year, or earlier last year, discussing why DeMarcus Cousins wasn't in the league anymore, and he had a phone call with Bob Myers, and Bob Myers told him that the way that your attitude is perceived around the NBA. So I think that Bob Myers should be the guy to give him a chance, especially if this is going to be his last year. being an executive for the Golden State Warriors, just give DeMarcus Cousins a chance. What the hell can it hurt? Adding a body will only hurt the team. I don't think it'll hamper it at all, especially with the injuries that you have, especially with guys not playing. I just think that it'll be a help. So as far as the grievance, because there was the grievance that was filed by the Golden State Warriors against the Portland Trailblazers for the whole Gary Payton II situation with the injury, saying that it wasn't disclosed. The only information that's really known is that the grievance was filed. Probably nothing will be done or will be publicized until maybe at the end of the season, or they say that, hey, we'll give Golden State back 2 draft picks because we saw Portland in the wrong, or we saw that Portland didn't do anything wrong and maybe Golden State was they just seen something on their own because something happened during the game that they had against them. You know how things can go, especially with investigations. So that's just something you got to wait and see. But as far as for maybe them getting their draft picks back, I don't think draft picks at this point matter unless you're going to use them for a trade. And I do think that maybe I'm not sure that this is – it feels like the last go. It feels like the last go around. But I'm not really too sure that it is. I feel like it's one of those seasons where in the offseason there's going to be a change. And whether it's going to be them sending the rest of the youngsters out and keeping maybe the 1 or 2 that they like, or Draymond's gone and they're going to look to ship Clay out or look to ship out Wiggins or start the youth movement pretty much but still keep Clay. So I think that there at some point in time there will be a drastic change that goes on with this team in the offseason, especially if they don't win the championship, because they will have to think, do we need to pivot now? But as far as right now, they have work to do. Again, the record 29-29. They are the 9th seed right now in the Western Conference, sitting behind the New Orleans Pelicans and the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are quietly rising up the charts as well, still winning games. Actually, they just a side note, they actually look much better with Conley. I didn't think that they would when they made the trade, but just seeing the way that they play now, that Gobert is back, they might have to make a decision at the end of the year. Do they want to keep the 2 bigs? Because it looked like with a veteran presence like Conley, it kind of slows down Ant-Man a bit to where he can still get his buckets, but he's not being reckless out there on the court or being misguided. Because now he has a veteran presence like Mike Conley to slow him down a bit. So that was just a quick side note that they're looking pretty good. But again, the Warriors are going to have to do some work. They went 1-2 on the week. I'll get into the reviews in just a moment. But before that, just what should happen here after the All-Star break. Because right now, we know that they are not the best defensive team. Right now, they sit 19th defensively in the NBA, which is not good. It's not a championship defense at all. The offense, they try to perceive that the offense is fine, but I think overall, once the 4 main guys realize that they all need to strive to get 20, whether they all get it or not, but every night they all need to strive to get 20. Not on some selfish shit, but just to, like, Wiggins every night should be striving to get 20. Not striving to get 18, not striving to get 16. You should every night strive to get 20. Jordan Poole, every night strive to get 20. Whether you get it or not, whatever, but every night you should be striving to get 20. That should be the goal offensively for this team, is to get those 4 guys 20 points or more. And if Jonathan Kuminga can come in and chip in 18 or 15 off the bench, hell yeah, do it. If Dante DiVincenzo, who's been amazing off the bench, I don't want to blame none of the way the Warriors play on him, because this guy has played past his contract. That's why I think it might be very difficult for us to retain him, even though he has a player option for next year. But he's played way beyond his contract. He's a guy that fits here. I don't think it's on him. I don't think it's on Draymond. But those are the 2 guys that you have defensively. But your offensive guys need to realize who they are. I think Clay, when he needs to start realizing when he does have a bad night. I understand the mentality of shoot or shoot. I'm a shooter, so I get it. Shoot or shoot, but I know at times when I'm cold, I'm going to look for some other guys, and then see when it comes back around to me, maybe after 4 possessions or so, then I'm going to get it back up and let's see if I can get one in. Just little things like that, just to get the other team involved, especially if I'm not the main gun. And because right now the main gun seems to be really Jordan Poole. Last time Steph went out, it was Clay that carried the team. This time it's Jordan Poole. And I guess we're kind of looking into the future right now of a Jordan Poole-led Warriors team. Is going to be pretty much 500, maybe a little bit below. But hell, a Steph Curry-led team right now is 500. So just showing you the parity in the NBA so far, especially here for this 2022-2023 season. As far as for the coaching staff too, man, like, no, I'm talking about it now. The coaching staff has been shitty. Like, I know I talked about it earlier, saying the absence of Mike Brown is very noticeable, but it's been very shitty with the coaching staff. Kenny Atkinson, I'm not really too sure what his role is. If I don't think he's defensive coordinator, because if he is, he's been doing a shitty job helping guys figure out rotations. I can't even tell you the other guys that's on the bench. Yeah, I don't even know his name. And then Ron Adams, you don't even see him on the bench. He's always at the very end of the bench or standing up somewhere. But I love Ron Adams, so I'm not gonna shit on him. But Steve Kerr's job as a coach has been the worst of his whole tenure here with the Golden State Warriors. And I guess that would mean hell, because he's only been coach for this team. This is the worst of his coaching career. When you have 4 young guys, and I'm just going to talk about this season for right now. When you have 4 young guys, and those 4 young guys they're on rookie deals. They're not on like second round pick deals. Nah, these guys are on deals where they're pretty much like, for James Wiseman case, he was on $9 million. For Kuminga, I think he was $4 million. For Moody, I think he was $4 million. Or I know Kuminga was $5 million and Moody was $4 million. When you have these young guys on this type of money, you got to play them, man. And this is supposed to be your future. So this shows me, and this is just in my mind, this shows me that Steve Kerr does not see a future with this team after the Steph Curry era, which I totally understand. Totally get it. Him coaching young guys is not for him. He did a shitty job with trying with James Wiseman's career so far. Let's just say it. Yeah, injuries has hurt him. But, I mean, injuries happen within the game. I hear a lot of people blaming James Wiseman for getting hurt. It's not his fault. He's a tall guy. When you're 7 feet, things happen. And the only thing that really happened to him was he tore his meniscus. Besides that, he hasn't really gotten hurt. There were just maybe setbacks. And the way things are going, I'm starting to think that those setbacks weren't because of James Wiseman. Those setbacks were because of the Golden State Warriors. Now, we're supposed to have the best training staff in the world, or at least in the league, not the world. But we're supposed to have the best training staff in the league, but the bullshit that came out with Kevin Durant's injury back in the 2019 finals, when he wasn't supposed to play at all, but he was forced to play. And, just the fishy shit that just came out now about the GP2 injury, just things to me kind of just seem a little weird. So the training staff, I'm hoping that they just get everything back on point, especially for their sake, to get these guys to where they need to be. But anyway, I don't fault James Wiseman for his injury or for whatever happened with the relapse in it, or the recovery process didn't go the way he wanted, whatever. But back to my rant with Steve Kerr. So Steve Kerr has had over, around 9 to 10 young players that they drafted in his tenure. And none of those guys are really in the NBA anymore. That just shows you really how much Steve Kerr really gives a damn about young players. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but I just want to name off some guys, and we'll just let you really think about it. So even right now at this point, because I believe he even kind of just got released by Utah, but Damian Jones, Justinian Jessup, who did play summer league, and he did really come over for some run during the summer. Where the hell is Nico Mannion? Is he still in Italy, and why he's never came back over? You know what I mean? Festus Ezeli, why they gave up on Festus and sent him to Portland. Remember, they gave up on him. I don't know if it was the year that Durant got there or the year after Durant got there. I forget, but they gave up on Festus and sent him out. He was a Warrior draft pick. He was drafted the same year as Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green, and gave up on him. Now he's just not a commentator. He's a reporter for the pre and post game show. Where the hell is Jordan Bell? Didn't he play for us or at the beginning of last year or the year before that? Didn't he play for us like one of these last 2 seasons for like a cup of tea, and then he was gone again? Where the hell is Patrick McCaw? Yeah, a name from the past. He was a part of that finals team, and then he went to Toronto and won a championship with Toronto. Remember that? Yeah, this kid won two finals titles, and you never heard from him again. Excuse me. Shit. My bad. Maybe I'll cut that. And then one more name. Well, really two more names. Jacob Evans, the third, or Jacob Evans, whichever one. Whatever the hell happened to him. They gave up on him first year. They traded his ass to Minnesota with D'Angelo Russell, and you never heard anything else from him again. So either the Warriors do a shitty job at picking draft picks and maybe just get lucky, or maybe like one of them, say like a Jordan Poole since the Draymond draft. But tell me, like, who the hell have they did a good job with? And then the last name I want to give you, because this is the one that kind of just really brings it over the top. What the hell happened to Eric Paschall? I mean, the 2020 season where Steph Curry hurt his hand after the fifth game of the season, it was the Eric Paschall show. He was a second-round pick. Everybody thought he might be the next Draymond. They gave up on his ass after the first season. Really, after he had a run, he was going stupid. He had a run for like a good 10, 15 games, and then Steve Kerr sat him. And then he came back, and then he got hurt. And then Steve Kerr never really played him again. Now, you could blame his defense. You could say his defense this, his defense that. But, hell, Jordan Poole is in year 4, and his defense still has not improved. Yeah, he tries a little bit more, but, hell, Eric Paschall was a big body. I think he was 6'6", 6'7". He could have tried eventually, too, but Steve Kerr gave up on him. So, at the end of the day, my thing is, don't even draft players anymore as long as you still have Steve Kerr as your coach, because it's almost pointless. They're not going to play. They're going to ride the bench until you eventually waive them or just send them off for an eventual another second-round draft pick that you're just going to do the same goddamn thing again. It's almost pointless. So at this point in time, I just think that they need to just move on from the young players. Move on from drafting young players. I do think that they should keep Jonathan Kuminga. I do think they should keep Moses Moody. I do think they should keep Patrick Baldwin Jr. But I do think that they will get rid of Ryan Rollins. I think they should do it now. It's kind of a waste of a roster spot, and he hasn't shown really, to me, anything this season, even in the minutes that I've seen of him in the G League with the Santa Cruz Warriors. I mean, I really haven't seen anything. He has the body of a Rondo type of guy, but he doesn't really do anything. So I could see them really letting him go. Maybe they could keep him around, thinking he can be what they think Ty Jerome is, quotation marks, what they think Ty Jerome is now. Maybe they think that that's what Ryan Rollins could be. But I would let him go. I would trade him to another team. I just wouldn't mess up these young guys' career. I understand it's a business, but I wouldn't mess up these young guys' career because I want to be a stubborn ass. You know what I mean? When part of your job is development along with winning games. You know what I mean? Especially if that's the position that you're given. So before I go into one of the first reviews, what I think is going on right now, I think that there is a clash or a rift or a hole or a leak or whatever going on between the front office and the coaching staff and the owners. There's a three-way rift going on here, and you could kind of tell. And I even want to go as far as saying the players, so that I really could go fatal four-way with it. If there's a fatal four-way rift that's going here between the players, the coaches, the executives, and the owners. And you can tell it with this franchise right now. So it could be on the last legs, on some last dance type of shit right now. We really could be watching that. But only time will tell. But at the end of the day, I think that right now, especially with the rest of your big guys out, your big guns out, while you have 26 games left after the All-Star break, you need to play Kuminga more. Get him ready, because he's one of your guys who can guard at the point of attack. And you need to try to see what you can get in Moses Moody. And you can't play Patrick Baldwin because it looked like he got hurt last night, February 15th, at the Santa Cruz game. Looked like he did something with his leg. Somebody hit him with his leg, and it kind of looked like it hyperextended a bit. So he looked like he's going to be out for a minute because he limped off the court. So, but your other three guns, I think you need to just play them. They can't fuck up any worse than what I've seen Ty Jerome do. And yes, Ty Jerome has hit some nice floaters, some very beautiful floaters. Ty Jerome could be the floater king when they're going in. When they're not going in, it just looks like you're being a stubborn ass and you're trying to steal the show. or you're trying to get your numbers so you can get a contract for next year, whatever it is. But for me, it's time to let this little two-way experiment go. Get your other young guys some minutes in there. Try to see if you can make a push. Get Andre Iguodala on the floor by all means or at any cost. Get that man on the floor. Get him to play some minutes. It don't have to be more than 15 minutes. The guy can play a 5-minute quarter. Get him out there. Get him a little bit of run. Get them legs ready. Get prepared. Matter of fact, don't even get the legs ready. See if them legs can go. Give him 5 minutes a game and see if them legs can go. If he has to sit, then you know what time it is. He's not going to be able to go for the playoffs. But if he can go for 5 minutes, boom, boom, especially 5-minute spurts, 3-minute spurts, get him in there, see what he could do as far as for the old legs, Andre Iguodala. But I still have faith that he can come in and help this team win another championship, even if it is in limited minutes and limited action. But he got to get back on the court. Draymond, keep doing what you're doing. I don't have a problem with what you're doing. Dante DiVincenzo, keep doing what you're doing. Klay Thompson, we need that defense to show back up. You're getting burnt by these young guys, man. Like these young guys burning your ass. So got to get that competitive fire back. You can see the competitive fire when they call you for a foul. But as far as like defense, hey, get them boys some space. You ain't even got to be up all on them. Tongue-tied. You ain't even got to be all up on them. Because you know that these young guys are so athletic and so fast, they're going to burn past you. So give them some space and then close out when you need to close out. But anyway, I do have faith that this team can make it happen. But we'll jump into this first review with the Los Angeles Lakers. And this is going to be the interview with Steve Kerr talking after the loss on February 11th. 2020.
I guess kind of similar to the Portland game where you guys really went quiet down the stretch. What did you see offensively in the last 5 minutes?
Well, they did a good job, playing on top of our shooters and sending everything to Davis in the paint. So they had a good plan, and we never really got a good offensive flow in the game. I thought our guys competed really hard, but we couldn't find that spurt and that momentum where we could string together a good 5 or 6 minutes in the game. So just felt like we were kind of swimming upstream for much of the game, even though, neither team had much of a lead, throughout the game. It was close, but it just never felt like we found our groove.
And that right there was Steve Kerr talking after the Warriors game against the Los Angeles Lakers from Chase Center on February 11th, 2023. Let's get into the final score, 109-103. The Warriors had dropped this game to the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm not going to really do too much of the little play-by-play that I did, but that I used to do the last couple of episodes. Just going to do a couple of simple ones, some highlight plays, and just some let's just say a cut-down version, because I couldn't think of the word right now. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, so the fourth quarter. So the game starts off with 4 early turnovers for the Warriors in the 5-minute mark. D'Lo got off pretty early, which was dope to see him actually look like he could be an offensive threat for the Los Angeles Lakers. Jonathan Kuminga hit a 3 in the game, and then he hit a jumper back-to-back. JP with a nice block that he got in this game. I believe it was over D'Angelo Russell himself. Klay with a nice couple jumpers with the cap a 6-0 run and put the Warriors up 16-10. And then there was a offensive foul where the Warriors committed 5 turnovers. So by the end of the first quarter, the Warriors did have 7 turnovers at the end of the first quarter. They weren't shooting a very good percentage as well. Neither team really was. It was kind of a back-and-forth first quarter with both teams really trading buckets back and forth. It ended up 22-21 at the end of the first, with the Warriors taking the 1-point lead heading into the break or heading into the second quarter. It didn't look like really the Warriors had any control over it, but it did look like they might have found some type of a defensive juice, or maybe both teams was really just struggling. But it started off looking like the Warriors were playing defense, getting a team to be under actually 30 in the first quarter, for which has been a rare occurrence this whole damn season. So that was pretty nice to see starting off. The second quarter, the Warriors got off to a nice little run, a nice 8-0 run, as a matter of fact, to get the lead to 42-34. But the twos and some threes from Schroeder to get the Lakers back into the game by 2, 42-40. Clay ended up getting a technical foul, feeling like he didn't. It was something where he felt like he was fouled, and then he got a little demonstrative with it, and they quickly teed him up. The refs really weren't playing too much this game because Clay got a tech, and I believe somebody else ended up getting one later on as well. So the refs were a little bit frugal, if you will, with the whistles. Hachimura and Schroeder were really the problems, especially in that second quarter, really to help get the Lakers back into it. And if you ask me, this Los Angeles Lakers team is pretty interesting. They're pretty interesting. They got, even though LeBron did not play, I forgot to mention that LeBron was not playing in this game at Chase Center. Even though that the Warriors, that the Lakers didn't have LeBron, this team still look very athletic now. They're like a completely different team. They have a few players now that can actually make threes, even though they will be taking them at a high value. So guys like Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, they take threes at a high value. The one guy who really was a difference maker in this game, because really it wasn't AD at all. AD was held to 7 points in the first half, which was really surprising, shocking, whichever you want to put it. But Draymond really had the defense, not going to say locking them down, but he really did have AD having a rough night, especially offensively. AD did finish with 16 rebounds, but offensively it just wasn't really his night. But it was Jared Vanderbilt. Jared Vanderbilt was a guy that I wanted the Warriors to target, and obviously, of course, they did not, but the Lakers were smart enough to do so, and he immediately paid dividends for them being a tall, athletic wing player. You could actually stretch him down to be a 4 if you want to, but he's really a 3 if you ask me. But he's, 6'8", 6'9", very long, very versatile. Wingspan is crazy, the way he could get up there and block shots and even get rebounds. He's a rebounding machine for a guy that comes off the bench, and that's something that the Warriors could have used, somebody that could help protect the rim, and they wanted a wing defender, and they wanted somebody who can get rebounds. This guy checked all the boxes of every damn thing that Bob Myers was out there saying that they wanted for this team. Everything that Steve Kerr, I want to call him a dumbass, but Steve Kerr ass been asking for that he wants from this team. This guy checks 3 of those goddamn boxes, and I don't think that there was no attempt to call Utah to get this guy on that team, because the Lakers got him for fucking pennies. For fucking pennies. They traded him for Russell Westbrook, who they're probably going to waive, and hella draft picks. We just traded hella draft picks to get GP2. So, I mean, you still got hella draft picks of your own. Why you didn't take a couple of those and go get Jared Vanderbilt, something that you needed? But anyway, that's another little rant I got here and there. But he was in there playing immediate dividends in this game, if you ask me, once he came off the bench. But anyway, moving on. At the first timeout, it was 45-44. Clay then hits a 3 after the timeout, making it 48-44 at the 4:35 mark of the game. Lone hit a nice little jumper, which was a nice little wing jumper, was dope. Ty Jerome. So my thing with Ty Jerome is, one game I could tolerate him, and the next game I want him off the fucking court. So it really started to me when I really noticed the bullshit he was doing with James Wiseman. When I noticed the bullshit that he was doing with James Wiseman, I kind of already had my mind made up about him. There was times where you would see him drive to the bucket, and James Wiseman's wide open, or if he's not wide open, he got a guy that's like 6'3", and we all know how skilled James Wiseman was or is offensively. The guy Ty Jerome will wave him off, or he'll act like he's going to give him the ball and then go in for a selfish ass floater and miss. So that kind of gave me my thought about him already. But seeing that sometimes he does come in when times are needed for timely buckets, timely floaters, like this one right here that he got off a JK pick that kept the Lakers at bay for a bit at the 120 mark before going into the half. Draymond ended up getting called for a flagrant foul on Rui Hachimura. One was called earlier as well on JK. So like I was saying, that the whistles were going like crazy. 2 free throws in the ball. It was 53-51 at the end of the half. There was 15 assists with 9 turnovers. So things were looking decent. They looked like maybe they could still run away and win this game against a Lakers team that was missing LeBron. But that really wasn't the case, because it just seemed like really the Warriors at some point gave up in the fourth quarter. But as far as for the third quarter, Jordan Poole kind of struggled from the field. He was 0 of 5 at that point in time. The Lakers did take the lead off of a shooter free throw, making it 63-62. Then Jordan Poole finally kind of got on the board with his threes. Hit one, made it 65-63. The Lakers got in the bonus at the 7:04 mark, which was very early, and that's, again, one of the Achilles heels for the Warriors is fouling too much, not being able to keep guys in front of them, and just fouling at will. And that was one of the issues tonight. The whistles, again, were just going like crazy. Just every time somebody gets the ball for the Lakers, just toot-toot, and somebody's going to the line, whether it's AD, whether it's D'Angelo Russell, whether it was Jared Vanderbilt, whether it was even Malik Beasley at times. Just everybody was going to the line. JaMychal Green's defense on AD was pretty good. Jordan Poole with a nice little push shot, with a nice push for Draymond for a layup and an and one, and Draymond flexed a bit, making it 68-65. The Warriors were still maintaining a rather narrow lead. Anthony Davis had only 6 points so far at this point after some free throws that made it 68-70. So I think I was wrong a little bit earlier. I think I said he had 7 at the half point, but nah, he didn't. He only had 4. Clay with a nice pass to JaMychal Green for a dunk. JaMychal Green has been playing pretty damn good for this team so far. I wish he would get more rebounds. I do wish that. I wish that he could be more of a paint presence, but I guess you can't ask for too much. He's been a very good energy player and a guy that can still stretch the floor and hit some threes and get you some nice dunks in there when you really need a bucket. Clay with a nice steal. Nice pass to Ty Jerome for a layup, making it 72-70. Lakers then call timeout. Soon after the timeout, the Lakers go up 3. Clay ties the game with a 3, making it 77-all at the 2:32 mark. J.K., who's been playmaking, who's been playing defense, who's been very much improving with a nice pass to JaMychal Green for a dunk, keeping the game tied at this point. 1:27 left to go. Then the Lakers go up 4 off of a Vanderbilt and Beasley work for 2 jumpers from them. One was an actual layup from Vanderbilt, and the other was a jumper from Beasley, making it 79-83. JaMychal Green hits 24-second violation, so there's a turnover right there with 7 seconds left to go. And then Draymond called for a 4th foul with 0.6 seconds left on Vanderbilt, and that kind of was the run right there that killed it. At the very end, a quick 6-0 run right there. And, you know, when the Warriors get down like that, they make one little run and then they falter at some point in the fourth quarter. But already being down 6 after being up 2 at the end of the half, now you're down 6 at the end of 3, trying to just hope that you can come back and make a game out of it, especially while you're at home. And you thought that maybe the home crowd would help them get into it, but well, nope, that didn't happen. Dante DiVincenzo double dribble off the gate, turnover. I was giving him praise earlier on, but he does too. I think when you come to the Warriors, you just get some type of little curse where you become a little turnover prone, but it seems to happen to every player on the team. But anyway, Draymond with a steal, then a nice pass to Jordan Poole for a layup, making it 81-85, trying to get back into the game. Jordan Poole with a 3 after a Reeves put back, making it 84-87. Jordan Poole then launches another 3. He seamed up the ball on this one. It was nice. You could tell, but it was 87-87 there. The Lakers called timeout. It was an 8-0 run, and that was just from Jordan Poole alone to make it 89-87 at that first after that first timeout from the Lakers, and we had 9:40 left to go. So you're thinking right here, okay, the Warriors, all right, we got this. Then Jordan Poole hits another jumper. So, boom, this guy by himself goes on a 12-0 run. So he was kind of struggling early, and then he became Steph Curry for a good, 4 or 5 minutes of the quarter. After that, then the Warriors force a 24-second violation, get back in the game. Jordan Poole floater again. Boom, this is 14 straight now. This a floater goes in and takes the lead. Then, and the floater was over Anthony Davis, surprisingly, so Jordan Poole got it up there. He usually gets blocked by every big. It seems like every time he drives to the bucket, some big is blocking the shot. But he got this in over AD, taking the lead for the Warriors. And then AD on the other end comes in with a dunk. JP, who scored all the first few points for the Warriors here in the fourth up to the 6:30 mark, he gets an and one as well after AD loses the ball. So 17 straight points for Jordan Poole, making it 96-93. We got this. Then a former Warrior kicks your ass. D'Angelo Russell takes over, and we've seen this happen with the Minnesota game before he was traded to Los Angeles. He did that in that game, and we ended up losing that in Minnesota. I believe that was about 2.5 weeks ago. But again, D'Lo hits a 3 or hits a jumper, 96-95. D'Lo gets an and one. Lakers take the lead. It's now 96-98. 5:30 left to go. Draymond with a nice pad. Well, Draymond with a nice defense on AD gets the steal. Then a pass to JP to Ty Jerome for a nice layup. So nice tic-tac-toe play right there. Rui Hachimura then hits a three, and this is where the game was over. It was like the Hachimura three kind of took all the air out the building. It was 98-98 at this point in time. When Hachimura hits three, it becomes 101, or it comes 98 to 101. Then Schroeder comes on the other end, layup after the Warriors miss a shot, which was a stupid shot. We got to start learning how to get more layups, especially in crunch time. But after we missed that shot, Schroeder come down, gets a layup. It's now 98 to 102. And that's or 98 to 103, and that's pretty much game. Nothing else really happened there but a bunch of free throws. The game ended up again, final score 103-109. The Lakers win. D'Angelo Russell on the night, he had 15 points. He was 6-12 from the field. Anthony Davis, who was very quiet on the night, very quiet, was kicking ass on the rebounding end. Even got three blocks in there, but he only had 13 points, 16 rebounds. He was 5 of 19 from the field. Only got to the free throw line 4 times. Dennis Schroeder was really their guy, their hero for the night. He had 28 for Dennis Schroeder, a guy that they didn't even want him a couple years ago. So he went out there and bet on himself, and then came back and showing the Lakers, hey, you guys want me. So the guy came out, 26 on the night. He was 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 9 of 11 from the free throw line. Also had 3 assists, 3 rebounds, plus 7 from the field. And then my boy Jared Vanderbilt, who had 12 points on the night as well, to go along with 6 rebounds. So that's for the Lakers side. For the Warriors side, it was actually Jordan Poole who led the night, 29 points. A lot of that flurry, again, was that 17 straight that came in the fourth quarter. If he would have had some help, they could have won this damn game. But nobody else, especially the guy who I'd be expecting to especially show up when Jordan Poole is having good nights, is Andrew Wiggins. Like, him and JP so cool. I'd be expecting him to have good nights when JP have good nights, and it just don't seem to be the case. He finished on the night 5 of 13 from the field, only taking 13 shots in 30 minutes. Like, if you're going to be the second or third star on this team or go-to guy on this team, you got to do more than that. Especially in 30 minutes, really 31 minutes, because it was 30 minutes and 59 seconds. 2 of 6 from the three-point line. Didn't get to the free throw line at all. He did have 5 rebounds. He didn't have an assist. He had 12 points on the night. The good thing is he was a plus 3. So him and Draymond were the only 2 guys who were in the positive in the plus and minus section. And I can say for Draymond, because I watched the game, he was really out there. I don't know if he was auditioning for the Lakers. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he went out there and he was playing his ass off. 12 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. He was 5 of 8 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. He actually got to the free throw line 1 time as well. But the guy, again, that I'm still looking forward to show up is Andrew Wiggins. Hold on. Let me not even forget about Kevon Looney, because, again, he's averaging nice numbers on the rebounds. I'm not going to get into his point situation, but just having 13 rebounds on the night was fucking awesome for that. Dante DiVincenzo didn't really have a good night. He was 2 of 8. JaMychal Green, decent night. He was 3 of 8. He had 11 points, 5 rebounds. That's kind of what we need from a backup guard. And I'm not going to even disrespect too much Ty Jerome. He had a decent night, or a pretty good night. He was 5 of 7 from the field. He had 10 points. He was minus 11, and I think he was minus 11 because his defense is just fucking atrocious. Like, just bad. Like, he just looks like a guy who doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing on that side of the ball. Like, he never even seen anybody play defense. And he's standing flat-footed, standing up straight. He's not in no type of defensive stance at all. And then he just get blown by everybody. I get it. He doesn't have the lateral quickness to keep up. But this is why this guy shouldn't be out there in certain times of the ball game. And if you notice, especially if you really watch these damn games, the game changes when Ty Jerome and maybe 1 or 2 more other pieces come in the game. I like Anthony Lamb to a point, but the game changes when he comes into the game. The defensive flow is not the same. And then you have the veteran guys who's trying to pick that rhythm back up after those two-way guys who shouldn't really be playing big minutes anyway, but after those two-way guys come off the court and the momentum is zapped out, and now it goes to the visiting team or the opposing team. So it's a lot of issues here to be fixed. Moses Moody didn't get any minutes, or yes, he did. He got 2 minutes, excuse me. And Jonathan Kuminga got 13, but he only had 5 points on the night, 2 of 4 from the field. He did have 3 rebounds, assists, and 2 steals. Playing that great forecourt or 94 fit defense that he's been accustomed to doing, which is actually keeping him on the floor. But again, the Warriors losing a tough game that they should have won. It's one of these games that you just really couldn't let go, especially with no LeBron. LeBron playing ultimate cheerleader on the bench over there. And then the crazy part was there was a young lady when LeBron first came out. There was a young lady who didn't even know that was LeBron. She just looked like, oh, some big tall dude sitting by me. Kind of had like a look of disgust. And then she had the double take, and she seen it was LeBron's face and was like, oh, my God. And they really interviewed this little girl for like 5 minutes, and LeBron sat there like he did not know the interview was going on, and he's right there in the camera view with the little girl and her brother as Lisa Salters was talking to the young lady. And LeBron tried to act like he didn't hear them talking about him, and we know how dramatic and how much he wants to spotlight. So that was kind of funny to me to see him act like he didn't know that they were sitting there talking about him. And then he got up real quick once the timeout came and act like he was cheering for something. But anyway, a game that the Warriors should have won, should have took that victory home with no LeBron, with AD playing like shit, only having 13 points, especially after the chemistry rumors coming out after he sat down during LeBron's making the career with the points record, or I can't even get my goddamn words out, with LeBron winning and securing and passing Kareem for the all-time scoring leader in NBA history. And AD kind of was sitting on the bench with, like, I don't want to say he was huffing and puffing, but he wasn't cheering like everybody else in the arena. So he was playing shitty after that. So we'll see with the Lakers, but I kind of like their team. I like what they've done, especially on that trade market, in getting the guys that they got to go along with LeBron and AD. I think D'Angelo Russell can fit because he doesn't have to be the number 1 or 2 guy. Actually, he can actually be the number 3 or 4 because you actually do have Malik Beasley who could shoot the lights out because he did it for Minnesota and for Utah. And then you have Jared Vanderbilt who can come off the bench and give you great wing defense and actually be provide scoring for Darvin Ham coming off the bench. So we'll see how that Laker team go. They're still 26-31 on the season, but they have high hopes of making the playoffs or at least making the play-in tournament. And so does the Warriors. And for the Warriors to lose to a team that has aspirations of making it when you're kind of already in that bubble or in the thick of those things, it's kind of demoralizing for your team, especially with just 2 more games to go on the season. So let's go into this next game. This is the Wizard game, right? Yep. The Golden State Warriors taking on the Washington Wizards live from San Francisco in Chase Center. These are the comments from Steve Kerr after that, hey, let's say, surprising win.
Steve, was this clearly Wiggins' best game since he's been back, and what did you get from him? Looked like you had to keep going back to him in this game.
Yeah, definitely his best game since he's been back. He had a lot of good games early in the season, but I loved his aggressiveness. He was attacking the rim all night, and he got it going, from the mid-range and just got us a lot of key buckets. When we were starting to fade a little bit. So Wiggs was great.
Steve, along those same lines, I mean, JaMychal's gone through so much to see him shine and also dish out 5 of your 40 assists. The bench really gave you a lift. Yeah, the bench was great. Dante and JaMychal both played really well. I thought Moses Moody changed the game in the first half with his energy. We were kind of lifeless for much of the first half defensively. They were getting anything they wanted, and I thought Moses' energy was great. But JaMychal was fantastic, and Dante hit some big shots and did his usual job defensively, scrapping. And Ty is so underrated as a player for us. I mean, you look at his minutes, and every time he comes in, the game settles down. He just takes care of the ball. 7 assists, no turnovers, 9 points. He's the consummate backup point guard, and with Steph out, we really need him more than ever. And I thought Ty was great tonight.
Yeah, that was Steve Kerr right there talking about the game against the Washington Wizards on February 13th, 2023, in which I call bullshit. He said Ty Jerome is underrated. No, he's not. he says Ty Jerome, and he said this like in a literal sense, like he always does this. Ty Jerome comes in and give them a steady calmness that the team doesn't have. And no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I don't know what the fuck he sees on the sideline. I have no clue what the hell he sees on the sideline. I get it. Yeah, Ty Jerome had a fucking great game, especially coming off the bench with having, 14 and 7? Blah, 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 blah. No, excuse me, 9 points and 7 assists. He was a plus 13 from the field. I think that was his best plus minus that he's had all season. One fucking game. He has not been a calming presence at all. So you get one game that you damn near lost. Let's be honest here, because a lot of people, especially if you listen to like the morning shows the day after, a lot of people was on like nervous. They was on the edge of their seat because it was starting to look like one of those games the Warriors are gonna lose. Like, let's keep that shit a buck, like for real. But anyway, as far as like the game goes, and what Steve Kerr was saying, like I agree, it was a great game from Andrew Wiggins, who had a phenomenal night, and that's the Wiggins that we want to see. Not just me, that's the Wiggins that all Warrior fans want to see. An aggressive-ass Wiggs that come out, especially knowing that you're down your biggest gun, which is Steph Curry. You need to come out on the defensive and the offensive end every night and be aggressive. That's what the fuck you just got your extension for. I know I'm cursing on this part, so I probably can't post this too much on YouTube, but it is what it is. That's just the frustration with this team, because it's like you will get juiced up after one good win, and then you will go to the next game, and then they'll completely squander that somehow. And just to say that that's what they did. Let's not even sugarcoat shit. But the game against the Washington Wizards on the 13th, it was a great game from all parties involved, from the Golden State end. Wonderful game from Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson, or Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson. Well, I keep saying Jordan Poole. Wonderful games from Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson, who both had great nights. Jordan Poole was just a steady calmness on the offensive end, of course not the defensive end. Ty Jerome, who Steve Kerr. Fuck this. Before I get into this game, let me do this rant. You heard how he was gushing all about Ty Jerome and how he has all type of minutes and everything for Ty Jerome. Just give me 2 seconds. I want to look up when the fuck Ty Jerome got in the league, because I don't think it was really too much far after James Wiseman, or too much before James Wiseman got in the league. To be honest with you, Ty Jerome came in the league exactly 2020 draft. How was he a veteran? He was drafted was it the same draft? Is Wiseman in year number 3 or 4? So he got drafted a year before Wiseman. He played 31 games his first year in Phoenix, 33 his second year in the league, which was in OKC, 48 his second year in OKC, which was his third year altogether, and then he's played 36 games this year with the Golden State Warriors. How the fuck is he so much more of a veteran than James Wiseman? Like, he's not. But you heard him gushing all over him and everything that this guy does on the floor when he does the same shit. He's an offensive player with a nice push shot that does not play a lick of defense. And you just heard how he's gushing over this guy like Ty Jerome is some type of second savior, like he's a Scott Skiles, or Scott Skiles was even a starter in Orlando. I'm trying to think of an old school like backup. Like, he's really Steve Kerr. Honestly, to tell you the honest to God truth, Ty Jerome is a version of Steve Kerr. A guy that can come in there and get you like 4 or 5 points and get you a couple assists, and that's it, and really be a liability on the defensive end, which he has been. But James Wiseman, a guy who was 7'1", who was really who you guys had as a prospect to possibly be something that could be damn near all-star or borderline all-star in a few years, and you give up on that project. Not to say they're wrong about that, the whole front office, but you gave up on that project just to play Ty Jerome, who's only been in the league really. If we really want to fucking add these games up, we can add these games up. Probably maybe 60 more games than James Wiseman. But you played this guy, and not to harp on this shit, but this guy passed up James Wiseman so many times earlier in the season where James Wiseman was wide open with either by himself with nobody down there guarding him, or a guy who was like 6'1" that he can easily have a nice touch over. And the guy goes out there and he just fucking ignores Wiseman like he's not the tallest guy out there. But that's neither here nor there. If you're afraid of his hands, whatever, take the chance. Like, you feel me? Like, this guy's 7'1", and you didn't take the chance. But back to Steve Kerr just gushing over Ty Jerome. That shit was kind of disgusting to me. Just to hear you gush over somebody who's, I'm not gonna say he's trash because I don't know how he plays outside the NBA, but he's not one of the best NBA players. Not even a great prospect of an NBA player. He's really a G League player who's getting NBA minutes for a reason that we can't understand. Or we can, but we're just not going to speak on it on this show. But anyway, let's get into the game. The game against the Washington Wizards was live on February 13th, 2023. It started off in the first quarter. It was really KP, Kristaps Porzingis, who was being very aggressive, trying to score. I think he really wanted this game against Draymond. Draymond ended up picking up a quick foul, very quick, and even picked up a very quick technical foul on an auspicious call because you really didn't even see what he said or what he did. There was never a replay that was called or anything. It just was a quick tee. And by the way, that is his 15 technical, so if he gets one more, he will be suspended. I don't know how the rule goes after the 16. I think you're suspended, every time you get a new tech. I don't even remember how that rule goes, but he's one away from a suspension with 26 games left to go in the regular season plus the playoffs. So that shit still roll over to the playoffs. So you got to hope for the rest of this time that he doesn't get any technicals or that's a suspension. Anyway, let's get back to the game. The Wizards was doing a lot of driving, a lot of kicking. They were getting to the bucket a lot, getting a lot of wide open shots. The Dubs were driving to the bucket as well, and they weren't settling yet, which I thought was a good thing. They were making it a point to try to get to the rim and try to get easy buckets and try to battle with KP early down there, even though he could try to block shots when he want to. The Warriors were trying to get in there and break that paint and try to get easy shots at the bucket and wasn't really focused on shooting a lot of threes. Klay got a rhythm early. Dre with a nice dribble drive finish on Kispert. That was very nice. The Dubs were engaged from the jump, and you can tell that. 14-13 at the first timeout at the 7:08 mark. The Wizards go zone after the timeout. Wiggs got a good closeout on Beal for three, but Beal still even hits it anyway. Then JP comes back and comes on the other end, and he hits a three. 16-14, 5:10 left to go. It was a crazy scramble play, maybe the most scramble play of all times, where Wiggs ended up losing the ball. Then he gets it back. He misses the shot. Klay rebounds it, then passes it out to Wiggs. He kind of trips, and the ball was about to be turned over again, and somehow passed it to Jordan Poole, who passes it back to Wiggs on the baseline for a push shot. It was crazy as hell. The ball was everywhere. It wasn't one of those plays that they drew up, I could tell you that. 3 jumpers in a row with no makes, so kind of start going into a little bit of a drought here to end out the first quarter. Needed to continue to go inside, but for some reason they thought maybe the jumpers would start flowing, but they really didn't. The Wiz end up going on a 9-0 run, 14-3 run to close the quarter. And there was a Wiggs 3 that kind of really closed it out at the 2-minute mark, and that was really the last time they scored. The quarter ended 29-39. The Warriors were down 10 at the end of the first quarter. The Wiz were up. It was mainly more of a Kristaps show. Porzingis was really kicking ass. Draymond usually gets up for these type of games, and he was with him, but KP was ready. It was really one of those type of things where it was great offense but better, or great defense but better offense type of scenarios, really all night for KP. Second quarter starts. The Wiz started off hitting everything. Everything at one point. It was 44-29. Klay Thompson and Dante DiVincenzo ended up getting 5 straight points, but DeLon Wright tried to keep things at bay with a 3. Klay was begging for the ball, but the Wiz were just stripping everything. You know what I mean? They were taking the ball away, getting steals. They were making sure that they were contesting at the bucket. JK ended up hitting a 3, making it 44-54 at the first time out. The Warriors weren't closing out properly on shooters, man. They just was offensively staying on the perimeter. They weren't closing out on the defensive end. They were letting the opposing team get whatever the hell they wanted on the perimeter and on the inside, and weren't having any type of force against them. Klay didn't come with a nice little driving and one on Gafford, but he missed a free throw, but it's 44-52. Draymond picks up foul number 3 at the 8:07 mark, so he really has to take a seat for the rest really of the half, so he's done. Dante DiVincenzo then gets a nice steal and layup, cutting the lead down to 6, building some momentum a bit, you know. The points in the paint for the Wiz was killing the Dubs, but the Dubs was kind of losing sight of the ball, you know, on cuts, especially a lot of the back cuts, baseline cuts, really the Dubs were losing sight of it. I wrote here at this point, even though he was still having a good game, but not up to this point. I was like, Ty Jerome is a waste of a championship defending roster spot. And I stand by that. You heard the rant that I had before I started the review on this game, but I just really feel that way here. But we're at the 6:30 mark, 48-58. Wiggs then come out of timeout with a nice post-up play. Then Moody gets his steal. Moody comes out being an energy guy, really kind of changed the game. Like I give Steve Kerr that. Moody did come in the game and was one of those main guys who was able to change the game for the Warriors with great energy, defense. He even hit a couple shots, nice passes as well. Where we at? Dante DiVincenzo, 3 off of a Wiggs pass, 11 points for Dante DiVincenzo. It's now 53-58. And Moses Moody also, who I want to give props to because he came out there this night and he had the energy like we spoke about earlier was great. He also had a great steal on Kispert that was very nice. But then it also led to a Jordan Poole turnover, so off of a moving screen. 74% shooting for the Wizards. Dante DiVincenzo, 3 off a Wiggins pass, 11 points for Dante DiVincenzo. I think I just said that shit, so I think I'm repeating. My bad. Jordan Poole got his third foul at the 4:38 mark on Bradley Beal. Beal goes to the free throw line, 1 or 2. Ty Jerome does a drive and a nice pickup. I can't read my own fucking writing. Ty Jerome does drive to the bucket and then pick up a foul on Bradley Beal with the and one. So cuts the score down 56-59, 4:18 to go. 10-1 run here by the Warriors. And then Dante DiVincenzo with a steal. Then to Moody. Moody got the rebound. Then a pass out to Dante DiVincenzo for another 3. Boom, goes in. A missed Moody shot, but the activity was nice, but it helped ricochet the ball to Ty Jerome for an open layup, 58-59 at the 3:50 mark. KP fouled by Clay from jumping into him. Clay got to get a little pissed off with that. Steve Kerr did too. Steve Kerr did pick up a technical foul off of this play. And this was really one of those few times that you've seen this season where he's just really engaged. But you'd be like, what the hell are you mad for? Clay fouled on that. I mean, I didn't understand really what Steve Kerr was really mad about. Because if you watch the play, I mean, I love Clay, but clearly it was a foul on the play. Anyway, KP goes to the free throw line. I mean, nails both of them. Puts the lead up to 4. It's at 58-62. Clay hits a 3. Clay has 17 points at this point in time. Ty Jerome with one of his patented push shots give the Warriors the lead, 63-62. Moody then gets to the line after a lone rebound and the pass back out to Moody. He gets to the free throw line, trying to drive in. Moody's, you could tell that he in practice is trying to work on different finishes. Because now the last few times that he's gotten to the game, he's drove to the bucket and he's tried a lot of different like wraparound type of finishes or acrobat type of finishes, however you want to name them. He's tried a lot of them. And a few of them are actually starting to go down. So you can tell he's actually working on these. So kudos to the young boy out there trying new things to see if he can make something happen while driving to the bucket, especially when the 3 is not falling for him. KP gets a technical foul as well. So a few technical fouls in this game. Already. Draymond got one earlier, and then Steve Kerr got one, and then right here KP gets one. So the referees was blowing those whistles. Was it this game? Well, yeah, Draymond got the technical foul in the first quarter. So that's 3 technical fouls called in this game already so far, and this is just the second quarter. We're not even at the half yet. But we're going to cut it down here. So it was great defensive intensity, especially with the lineup. Again, I was bashing him earlier on, but in this one lineup, they were able to get the lead back here a bit. Here it was Ty Jerome, Kevon Looney, Moses Moody, who's number 11. Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins was the lineup that was in the game at the time, who was actually getting defensive stops. No Draymond, surprisingly, right? They were getting stops. They were able to get points in the paint. The Warriors had 30 points in the paint. Loon had 9 rebounds to end the first half. They flipped the game by 20 because they were down 15, and now they were up 5 at the half. It was 71-66. Warriors were up. And this was one of those games where you were like, all right, let's see. Can they manage it in the second half? And it seemed like they did because off the gate, Wiggins came in and opened up with a nice cutting layup. Poole then with a 3. So before the 9:50 mark, it was 79-71. Draymond then called for his fourth foul on a swipe down, so that was crazy. This was like at the 8:52 mark. Steve Kerr challenges the call. It was unsuccessful, so Draymond has to sit. I think it was another one of those situations where Draymond was instantly begging Steve Kerr to challenge the call. But this time it was unsuccessful, so Draymond is charged with the fourth foul, has to sit at the 8:52 mark. The score at this point in time is 79-75 after the free throws. It started to look like one of those games, but JP hits a three. I know I'm stuttering and shit now. JP hits a three, 82-75. Loon and JMG, JaMychal Green, their defense on the interior was pretty damn good while Draymond wasn't in the game. So maybe JaMychal Green can be that other guy, that other big. I still think they need one more big body. JaMychal Green, I think, is like 6'7", 6'8". He's not even a 6'9" guy, but still the defense that they had combined together was pretty damn good out there. Let's see. We're now at the point where JaMychal Green hits a three. It's now 87-77 at the 6:55 mark. 14-4 fast break points for the Dubs, getting out there on the break. And that's the thing too. When they're getting out on the break, they're getting stops on the defensive end and being able to get shots before the defense can set up. That's when they're at their best. That, to tell you the honest truth, that's when they're all at their best. I didn't know that's family was going the whole time. That's when they're all at their best, is when they're getting easy buckets, man. And for some reason, they just made it so difficult by allowing teams to score, and they're taking it out from under their bucket all the time. So they're not even able to get up there and get easy shots before the defense sets up, unless it's one of those push plays where Draymond hurry up and pushes the ball down before the defense even sets up. And that happens like maybe once or twice per game. Anyway. There was some KP free throws that goes on after a JaMychal Green foul at the 5:15 mark. Cuts the lead down to 6, 87-81. Getting away from the things in the second quarter that was helping him get the big lead by playing inside and trying to get easy buckets and not focusing so much on shooting threes and perimeter shots. The Wizards were going to the line repeatedly. Mostly it was KP cutting the lead down. It was 89-84 at the 4:23 mark. Wiggs with a nice post up on Kendrick Nunn to get to the line. He actually makes both free throws, so that was a great sight to see. 91-84. Wiggs 20 points inside. Gets his 20th point inside on Bradley Beal, and then a layup on KP. So Wiggs was actually starting to show out a little bit now in this game, especially in this quarter, because at this point in time, after he hits a three, he has 23 points on the night, which gives the Warriors the 96-84 lead. So it was very nice to see Andrew Wiggins again, period. He's been missing in action. We don't know where the hell he's been. I understand he's had that injury, and then he's had the non-COVID illness, but it was very great to see him back and very good to see him playing in a form where he could be dominant, man, and not trying to hide in the background behind the other 2 or 3 players like Clay or Jordan Poole or Steph when he's playing. So it's very good to see this guy out here playing and trying to be assertive and being very energetic on the offensive end as well as the defensive end. There's a point in time the Warriors gets a big lead here. JaMychal Green with a three off of a Wiggs post-up play. It's 99-84. This is at the 2:30 mark. And then by the end of the quarter, there was a DeLon take foul, which ended up being free throws for Jordan Poole, but he missed it. Jordan tied Jerome with a turnover to end the quarter. The Wizards did go on a nice 7-0 run to end the quarter as well, but still the Warriors were up 106-93 at the end of the third quarter. The fourth quarter, let's just run through this real quick. Fourth quarter, quick 4 points for the Wizards to start it off. Quick 11-0 run as well that began at the end of the third quarter. And carried over to the second quarter. By the time the first timeout came at the 6:46 mark, it was 119-103, so the game kind of looked like it was over. But then there was a time where there was a little bit of a pushback from the Wizards, starting with KP, who got it down to 10 because he had 5 points straight, got it to 121-111. Then Dante DiVincenzo hits a three. And then on this play, you could kind of tell that JaMychal Green got a little hurt. I'm not going to say injured, but he got a little hurt. He was holding his wrist that was already taped up prior to the game, but he was holding his wrist a lot. So you can keep our eyes on that. So hopefully there's no big injury to come there. But he did end up playing the very next game, which was against the Clippers, where they got devoured in the second half. Moving on. So at the 4:10 timeout, there's 124-113. The Wizards did actually get it down to 132 to 126. The Wizards weren't stopping. It was a Denny Ivy 3 from the corner at the 115 mark, but then Draymond came back on the other end after the Warriors had missed and then got a nice stop on KP. And then Clay got a nice driving kick to Dante DiVincenzo for 3, which was the dagger, 135 to 126. 34 seconds to go. Dante DiVincenzo on the night, 17 points, which really helped the Warriors out. The Wizards, though, ironically, still shot 60% on the night from the field, which was nuts, and they still lost the game. It was mainly really because the Warriors were able to get out on those fast breaks. They were able to get the stops that they needed, mainly in the third quarter. The third quarter. The third quarter is when they really kind of got it to where they needed to, especially when they got it up to that 106 to 91 mark. And usually that's when the Warriors kind of rest on their laurels a little bit, and then that's when the other team will go on a big run that the Warriors just can't seem to get by. But this time they didn't let the Wizards come all the way back to win the game. They sustained and was able to pull it out. They pulled it out on the night here. Let's get to the other notes here. The box score. Again, on the night, Andrew Wiggins, who had 29 points on the night. He was 12 of 22 from the field. He was 3 of 6 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He also had 7 rebounds and 4 assists, plus 21. He was actually the best in the plus-minus field out there for the Warriors. And it's just a big thing that you notice when Andrew Wiggins is playing top-notch form, where he's playing up to his athletic abilities, this team is hard to beat. But when he doesn't, that's when it's a problem. That's when the Warriors have to try to figure out something else, especially if JP's jumpers isn't going or what have you. So right now with no Steph, it's really on Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, and Jordan Poole. And if those guys do not put it together, then they will have a bad record before the time that Steph get back. And I really would want them to be maybe 3 games over 500 by the time Steph comes back, maybe March 1st. Don't quote me on that because there is no quote. He hasn't even done basketball activity yet. So we really don't know when the hell he's coming back. But, again, Wiggins got to be this type of guy on the nightly basis, at least until Steph gets back in the rotation. The other guy that was a help on the night was Klay Thompson. He wasn't very efficient from the field, still 47% because he was 10 of 21 from the field, 4 of 13 though from 3. He was 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. He did come up with a steal. Jordan Poole, who was kind of quiet on the night, 14 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 of 11 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. He was 3 of 5 from the free throw line. Last year this guy didn't miss any free throws, and you can tell that there's something not right. I'm not saying it's the punch. I'm not blaming it on that at all because I'm thinking that that's so irrelevant and redundant to speak about now, especially how him and Draymond I'm not saying that they get along, but they help each other up when they fall. They pass each other the ball. They're smiling. They're giving each other like the little goo eyes and stuff. Not, the pause on that, but like the goggle eyes, not Google eyes, but the goggle eyes. So I don't think that there's anything really wrong with their chemistry. It's still something that has to be, what do you call it, a work in action or a work in progress. Sorry. It's still a work in progress, but I don't think that's the problem. But for some reason, Jordan Poole been missing free throws this year, man. And he was the best free throw in the league last year at like 93%, 91%, better than Steph. But for some reason, he's kind of dipped a bit this year. But all in all, still he had a decent game. As far as Kevon Looney, man, give him his props because again, another game with double-digit rebounds. He had 13 rebounds on the night. He had 8 defensive, 5 offensive, and Kevon had 13 points on the night. Ain't that something? And that shows something right there. Maybe Kevon might have to look for his offense more. But when Loon is out there and Loon is getting those tip-ins, that's what helped us win the NBA Finals. Kevon Looney on those tip-ins going against Boston, on those tip-ins going against Memphis. I believe, yeah, was it Memphis before we went to No, it was Dallas. Him against Dallas, against Powell, down there on the block, getting those offensive rebounds and putbacks and things of that nature. That's what kept the Warriors in it, as much as Steph's shooting and Steph being dominant, especially in the finals. Give Loon his propers, playing 30 minutes out there, still being Iron Man Loon. Still haven't missed a game this season. Dante DiVincenzo, 17 points off the bench. 6 of 9 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3. Also had 3 assists, 2 steals. 3 turnovers, though, but not going to harp on that. Ty Jerome, 9.7 assists. I think we spoke on that earlier. JaMychal Green, 14 points off the bench, who really kind of stepped it up. Been looking for Kuminga a bit. I don't know if he's kind of went back inside of a Steve Kerr doghouse, but in any event, 7 points on the night for Kuminga, 1 point on the night for Moses Moody. But Moody's his activity out there was great because his energy was actually what sparked the Warriors' comeback in that second quarter to be able to give them the lead when they were down. So we'll see. Not we'll see. On the night, 34 assists to 24 assists for the Warriors. So they won that battle. They actually won the rebounding battle as well. That was 33 to 34. So they won it by 1. Steals battle 10-10. That was pretty even. It still was crazy, though, just to know that the Warriors shot 58% from the field and the Wizards shot 60% from the field. But, the free throws. No, is it free throws? No. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just going through the box score trying to see how the hell do you shoot 60% from the field and still lose. But the Warriors, the three-point attempts was ridiculous. Yeah, they made 20 out of 40 was the Warriors. It was 50% from the 3, and the Wizards were 12 of 28. So that was really the big difference from that game right there. But all in all, still, final score, the Golden State Warriors 135, the Washington Wizards 126. It was a great game to see them win, to see them try to bounce back after that loss to the Los Angeles Lakers. But there's still one more game before the All-Star break, and we got to figure out what's going to happen after that. So let's go now to the last interview. Here's Steve Kerr after the game against the Los Angeles Clippers.
Up and down and right in the middle of the pack on offense, right in the middle of the pack on defense. And, I think we feel like we could be better. We've lost a lot of games that we felt like we should have won, but we didn't win them. So we are where we are. And good news is there's a lot ahead of us. I think this week off will be great for our guys. And hopefully we can come back from the break refreshed and make a push.
You mentioned middle of the pack offense, middle of the pack defense. I'm sure you're going to kind of audit the season over the next week. Like, what are you more worried about right now?
Defense, yeah. We're fine offensively. We're number 1 in the league in assists. We have our identity. Our guys know what we're trying to do. We've done a better job lately taking care of the ball, and we did that again tonight. So I'm not worried about our offense, but we got to make stops. And tonight, that third quarter, they scored 44, and that was the game. So couldn't get stops.
What aren't you doing defensively? What aspect?
I think point of attack defense, we're getting beat on penetration. We're giving up middle a lot. When you get beat middle, there's just too much to cover. And then we're fouling a lot. I think we're last in the league in free throw attempts allowed. So got to clean all that up.
That right there was Steve Kerr talking right after the Warriors at the Clippers on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2023. After what started off as a pretty good game, man. It was a back and forth, pretty decent game. Both teams were neck and neck, really. And then the third quarter came and then just shit hit the fan. And it hit the fan real quick, and game was over from then. But let's not kid ourselves, and let's really call it out for what it is. Kawhi Leonard finished the Warriors off in the third quarter. That's it. That's all. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the defense. You can say whatever you want about the offense going cold, but Kawhi Leonard put the Warriors to sleep in the third quarter. It was him pretty much by himself at one point. I think he hit like 3 or 4 straight threes, like damn near Steph Curry type of threes, because he was guarded heavily, and he just line drive them things in there. So it was Kawhi, and then the rest of the Clippers followed suit. Especially Norman Powell, especially by the end of the quarter, they just followed suit. It was really one of those games where I really don't even blame the Warriors too much. Yes, the defense has been shitty all season, not just last night. against the Clippers. It's been shitty all season, man. And when you look at what happened last night's game against the Clippers, it was like really one of those situations where you could tell they really couldn't wait till the All-Star break. All right, let's go out here and let's go give a great effort. Let's see if we can just knock this out in the first half. And if we can, then all right, cool. If we can't, then fuck it, we're done. And you kind of seen that really when Kawhi kind of poured on the little lead when the Clippers got up 10. Do I want to even get into the – all right, let's do it. Last game, anyway, we only do 3 games a week, 4 if they add that extra one during the week. But anyway, Draymond started off the game guarding Kawhi. Andrew Wiggins did not play this game after having a phenomenal game the game before where he had the 29 points. The game after against the Clippers, which was the back end of a back-to-back, he did not play, but Klay Thompson did. Klay Thompson played his first back-to-back game in over 4 years. Hasn't played a back-to-back game since, what was that, April of 2019, which was the last full season that he had with the team before he got hurt in the NBA Finals that year against the Toronto Raptors. But that was a big feat or a big milestone for Klay to cross right there by doing that, because actually now there should be no holdbacks for him. Now he should be really back to his regular form. Now it's up to him if he becomes an all-star type of player again. That's completely up to him. But as far as like his health, it seems like he'll be back, and that should be like one of the last milestones when you're playing both ends of a back-to-back. So that was great to see. But again, starting in the first quarter, Draymond was guarding Kawhi Leonard. Dante DiVincenzo with a 3 to start the scoring at the 10-minute mark, so they went almost like the first 2 minutes without scoring, did both teams. But, oh well, it was a nice start for Dante DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo did want a nice pass to Jordan Poole, who was sneaking on the baseline for a nice layup. The Clippers were sending 2 defenders at Klay, so Klay kind of started 0 for 3 from the field. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard they were the guys who were making shots consistently for the Clippers to start the game off. I don't know what it is. Kawhi Leonard worked like a mug on his jump shot, because I've never seen Kawhi shoot the ball so well. And I seen it before he went out too. I think it was really in the bubble when I really noticed that his jumper has really gotten better. But he hasn't played as much for us to be able to remember that this guy actually has a nice jumper. But in any event, a 7-16 start. No timeout for Steve Kerr, which kind of pissed me off right there from the jump. So I was like, was he even into the game already? I'm just starting off, and it's the 5-11 mark. And the Clippers got off to a quick 9-0 run right there with 7-16. So the Dubs start settling for threes way too much already, not getting great shots. The team, without Steph Curry, it just seems like they're just 3 happy. And it's like every one of you guys aren't 3-point shooters. Anyway, the Clippers, meanwhile, striping from the corner, hitting corner threes at will, man. And it was just looking like it was going to be one of those blowout nights. Zubac with a putback, hurting the Dubs because he was just he had 2 of them, because I think he only had really 4 rebounds of the night. But he had 2 big putbacks that really was like, damn, we're in for one of those type of nights. Draymond then with a nice steal from Zubac at the top of the key, where J.K. with a nice cut from a Draymond pass with a layup. It's 9-16 at this point. 5 minutes to go. The Clippers were on point, but the Clippers did start 1 of 6 on threes though, so they went inside. The Warriors started 1 of 6 on threes. The Clippers were 3 of 7, so they were the ones striping it. The Warriors couldn't throw a rock in the goddamn ocean at this point in time. J.K. did hit 1 mid-range jumper, 11-19. The Clippers were looking sharp. They got the lead up 11-21. Then the Warriors started to try to make a little bit of a comeback here. They trade buckets for a second, and then the Warriors get up to 21. It's 21-18 at the 118 mark. Twice the Dubs dropped the rebound, and the Clippers get second chance points off of it. This time it was a 3, so it makes it now 21-31. 28 seconds to go. J.K. been a little active and lively as well in this game to start off, and you would need his type of energy being a young guy coming off the bench. You really would need that. But at the end of the first quarter, it was 23-31. The Clippers made it very difficult for the Warriors offense. The Warriors jumpers didn't travel with the team, especially early. Wiggins' activity from last night is missed, and it would have been needed for this type of game, especially with the 2 wing defenders like Kawhi and Paul George, you would have needed that other wing guy on the Warriors side to try to put some pressure on those two guys and maybe try to tire them out a bit. Clippers took 8 more shot attempts than the Warriors. Still, the Warriors shot 45% from the field. The Clippers shot 50% from the field. 5 free throws to the Clippers 3, so not bad in the foul department. And the turnovers weren't bad as well. So they were keeping those down, would make you think that we may be in for a game if they can play some defense on the Clippers. And that's where it came in the second quarter. The Warriors start off here, a Clay floater and a foul to start it off, so it gets it down 25-31. Then Eric Gordon gets fouled on the 3. He makes 2 of 3, but it was Clay who fouled him. Clay then turns the ball over off a Draymond pass. This is 5 turnovers now at this point, so still not bad. Not a bad territory. Usually damn near close to 10 at this point in time, but there was no Warrior offense. It was no transition buckets. It was just the Clippers was controlling the pace. The Warriors' offense was stagnant. The defense just was letting the Clippers get nice dribble penetration and then kickouts to an open shooter. It was getting bad at one point, but then there was a little run after the 29-38 score where there was a quick Ty Jerome push shot and one on Bones Highland. He makes one of them. Ty Jerome at this point had 8 points. It was 32-38. J.K. hit a nice 3. It was now 35-38 at the 8:33 mark. And then Klay Thompson with a nice out-of-bounds play, and he hits a nice little 3 as well. So now it's 38-40 at the 7:46 mark. Ty Jerome was having a decent night. He hit a 3. Yeah, he had a 3. And then the bench points at this point was 23 points for the Warriors. It was 41-42 at the 6:50 timeout that the Clippers called. The energy picked up by the youngsters, man. Like, it was one of those things that you needed to see on the back end of a back-to-back. It wasn't a lot of fouls that were being called early on in this point in time. It was really more the Warriors just trying to figure out what they needed to do on the defensive end to stop the Clippers. And the Clippers were finally starting to miss shots. And the Warriors were able, on a Kevon Looney tip, were able to get the lead back at 45-44 at the 6:09 mark. It was an amazing Dante DiVincenzo rebound pass that went back to JP for 3. The Warriors are now up 48-46 here. There was a timeout at the 5-minute mark. But the Warriors, again, try to go on another little run here with Anthony Lamb to Draymond Green for 3, who hits it. Dante DiVincenzo with a steal. He picks Kawhi Leonard's pocket, but then he gets fouled by Kawhi. He could have actually made the layup, but he slowed down for some reason. Kawhi looked like he kind of gave up on the play and then thought about it like, hell no, I'm not going to let this mug steal the ball from me and then get an easy one. So he kind of thought about it, then contested the shot, but they called a foul anyway. Dante makes both free throws. He has 10 points. It's now 65-59. The game is flipped 16 points, so it's another one of those situations like the Wizards game the night before where the game flipped 20 points, where the Warriors were down 5 and then went up 15 before the half. This time they were down and now they were up. They were down 15 and now they were up by 5. So same difference, same thing. So I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Powell with a shot at the end of the half to put the game at 65-61. 4 players in double figures for the Warriors. Dante DiVincenzo had 10. Jordan Poole had 11. Jonathan Kuminga had 11. And Ty Jerome had 11. So that was nice to see as well, especially, again, with no Steph. Loon did have 9 rebounds on the night, showing that he's turning into a rebounding machine. And the Warriors only had 5 turnovers total, 22 to 15 on the rebounding department. So the Warriors were leading in that category. And then they scored 42 points in total in the second quarter. The bench was in full effect. They showed out in this portion of the game. The Clippers in the second quarter, they only scored 30. So it was a 42-30 quarter. But then the ugly-ass third quarter came. And then the third quarter was where it was just all Kawhi. I'm not even going to talk notes for the fourth because they tried to come back, but it was done. But anyway, Draymond with a nice fadeaway to open the quarter on I don't know if that was Markieff or Marcus. I forget. I think it's Marcus Morris. To open the third, 67-61. And then it was like, here we go again, because the Clippers now are coming back. Kawhi Leonard stripes 2 straight threes. So now the game is tied. Loon with a nice tip in and try to keep the Warriors with the lead. But again, Kawhi Leonard hits another 3. Boom. It's now 76-73. And then Clay tried to hit a 3 to tie the game at the 8:21 mark. Terrence Mann where the shooters bounce three from the corner. Then Terrence Mann comes back again on the other end after getting a stop and get a nice tip in, a putback. So a 5-0 run, 76-81. The Dubs call timeout, and right then game was over. The teams were trading threes. Morris and JP were trading threes. I think JP was trying. He was trying his hardest. He had 21 at one junction when he hit a three to tie the game at 86 at the 5:37 mark, and then it was game over. Clay did get one shooter's roll three to make you think, hey, maybe we got the Magic back on our side, because Clay now took that shooter's roll away from Terrence Mann, who had got one maybe 5 plays earlier. And then this time Clay gets one. But nope, not at all. There was a 4-minute drought, just like in the Blazers game. JK with a turnover, out of bounds. So now it's a timeout. 10-0 run for the Clippers. It's now 89-98, 2:09 mark. Then after a foul layup, it's now 89-100. So game was pretty much over. David Guthrie calls Steve Kerr for a technical foul, his second in 2 straight games. Moody then tries a dunk on Plumlee, but there's no call. It kind of looked like it was a foul, but then when they showed the replay, it just looked like the ball squirted out of his hands, and Plumlee went straight up with both hands up. So 15-2 run by the Clippers, 91-103, 29 seconds left to go. And that pretty much was it. After Draymond and Jordan Poole sat, the game kind of turned. Props for Looney for the putbacks that he was able to get to try to keep the Warriors in the game, but it was pretty much over. At this point in time, both teams were still shooting 50%. The Clippers, it was all Clippers tip ball this quarter, but it was 9 turnovers to 3 turnovers. It was a 28-44 quarter for the Los Angeles Clippers, and that was just pretty much game. There's really nothing to talk about much in the fourth quarter. You thought maybe they'd try to make a run, especially being on national TV, but nope, game was over. The last little thing we could probably talk about is maybe Moody got 2 nice buckets. One was a driving layup, and then the other one was a 3 to end the game. Final score, 122-132. Oh, excuse me. Final score, 124-134. The Warriors lose another one on the road. Again, I believe they're 7-21 on the road right now. Not a good road. Hell, they're tied for third worst in the league for a road record. Still, anyway, in any event, Jordan Poole, 28.6 assists. He was 10 of 20 from the field, 3 of 10 from 3, 5 of 6 from free throw. He tried everything he could. Clay on the back end of a back-to-back played a very good game. He had 18 points. He was 7 of 14 from the field. He was 4 of 7 from 3. It just still wasn't enough. They missed that Andrew Wiggins energy that they could have had from the night before. Jonathan Kuminga did have 16 points, 5 rebounds. Dante DiVincenzo, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. He was 6 of 6 from the field, and he was 1 of 1 from 3. And Kevon Looney, 11 points, 14 rebounds. But all in all, like, the Warriors are missing something. The Warriors just don't have enough, and this is just really one of my final thoughts that I have. I have a couple, but here's one. The Warriors just don't have enough. You know, the other 5 contenders have gotten better, and they gotten better by miles. Not even just really the Kevin Durant to Phoenix situations. Other teams have gotten better by miles, and the Golden State Warriors, all they did was bring back a player that they had last year. Be it, yes, he helped them win an NBA championship, but there was a round of a series where he was out. He didn't play, and they still won. So, again, the defense comes in spurts. It's not a consistent thing with the defense. Almost like this microphone right now. I feel like I keep going from decent sounding to, like, not there or whatever. But anyway, the Warriors defense only comes in spurts. It's not there on a consistent basis. The only 2 that are actually playing consistent defense on every play that you see is Kevon Looney and Draymond Green. Without help, or if they're split up like they are in rotations, it's difficult for the other 4 guys on the court to play defense. That's just the way that it is. Other 5 teams can go like maybe 10, 11 deep on the bench. The Warriors really only have their core guys in Dante DiVincenzo. Maybe Jonathan Kuminga in the playoff time, if he can get some more minutes now to try to build up consistency. But that's another thing. The bench and the starters just can't be consistent, especially with each other. Like, the consistency factor is just not there. Neither the starters or the bench is playing good defense or good offense. It's been mediocre the whole way through, and that's why this team is mediocre, because they're in the middle of the pack at 29-29. You're 500. So they can't contain the paint more than 2 possessions, and then after those 2 possessions, the other team's going to go on a run, and they don't have enough scorers or they don't have enough defensive-minded players to withstand those runs. Now, I will say that this team have not really been blown out much this year. Most of the games that were lost, especially I believe it's like now up to like fucking 10 games, the 10 of those games that they've lost, they were all winnable games. Every single one. They could have been winnable games. They were all games that were decided by, I believe, 5 points or less. And those games could have went either way. So just saying that at the end of the day, this Warriors team can go out there and in the second half of the season turn it up and become a top 6 team in the West, it's possible, but will they do it? It's not can they, it's will they. And right now, especially with the rotations, especially with the favoritism that's being shown on this team, and that blame can be placed on Steve Kerr because there is favoritism that's placed on this team, is going to make it very difficult. And I'll tell you just my personal thought here as one of my last final thoughts. This season so far, since we're at the halfway mark and we're taking a break, this season, that's my daughter on her train. So sorry, guys. My thought about this is this reminds me of the 1994-95 Golden State Warriors. Maybe even the 93-94, but I'll say 94-95. And, no, I'll say 93-94. Chris Webber was still here. This was the split between the Mullen, the last reminiscences of the Run TMC guys, and the new guys, the Spreewells, the Webbers, and who was the other guy? Billy Owens, whack ass. Yeah, I started watching the team in '91. We were in the playoffs against the San Antonio Spurs. I thought we could have came back the next year. I was a young dog too. I thought we could have came back the next year and did some real damage, and we traded for Billy Owens, whack ass. But in any event, it's kind of felt like that 93-94 year. And how ironic, we're damn near at the 20-year mark, 30-year mark. Shit, we're at the 30-year mark of that right now. Damn, I'm old. Where there was a split between the young guard and the old guard. And right now you can kind of tell that's what's going on. Like with Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole, Moses Moody, Patrick Baldwin now, because there's no James Wiseman. He's been shipped out because he was a part of it. There's a divide between the youngsters and the grown-ups, if you will. And Steve Kerr is going with guys that he know that he can win it. And he's not giving the young guys a lot of rope. They go out there, they fuck up twice, he's pulling them out. Moses Moody goes out there and plays for a minute, maybe get burnt once on defense. He's pulled out immediately, and you don't see him for the rest of the game. So, again, it's starting to seem like Steve Kerr is playing the Don Nelson role. Steph Curry is playing the Chris Mullin role because Chris Mullin was out at the time where the bullshit was happening. And Steph is Chris Mullin right now. Tim Hardaway is Draymond Green because he's the one that's there now dealing with it. And then you got your Chris Webbers, your Billy Owens, and your Spreewells, and you can pick whatever out the young dogs that you want to label them. But this is that situation. And there, again, like I said earlier on in the podcast, there could be some big change coming in the offseason, figuring out which way they want to go, young or old. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just talking at the side of my ass or the side of my neck, whatever you want to say. And maybe nothing happens. Maybe this team goes on to win a championship this year. Maybe this team goes on in the NBA playoffs, the whole thing, and only lose like 2-3 games, but go on to repeat. I mean, that's what I hope to happen, but let's be honest here. It's probably what's not going to happen. So they're going to need a lot. They're going to need Steph Curry to come back in the second half of the season and play in the not All-Star, but play the MVP type of season that he was playing earlier on before he got hurt the first time with the shoulder subluxation. So this is a little thing, too, I'm starting to do here because Steph mentioned this, in a press conference a long time ago. So now I gauged the week with this to see if they did it. So he said there's 3 things that you need when you're trying to win in this type of competitive basketball nature. You need to have effort, IQ, and execution. And for the week, they went 1-2. They're ranked 14th offensively. And now after the Clippers game, they're ranked 15th defensively. The execution at the end of games has been terrible. So, no, execution has not been there. The IQ has been there, but it's only been there for a few quarters. It has not been there the whole time. The effort, though, has been there. So I won't shit on their effort. The effort has been there on all parts by mostly every teammate or team member on this Golden State Warriors team. The whole thing is they need to put it together, and they need to put it together on the defensive end. Once they put it together on the defensive end, realize that defense wins championships along with Steph Curry's jumper, then they'll have it. They'll have what they need to complete the repeat. 9th seed, 29-29, 1-2 on the week. They get a break. They do not come back until February 24th to play the Los Angeles Lakers out there in Los Angeles, California. I believe it's a 7 o'clock start game, and it will be a nationally televised game. I don't know if it's ABC or TNT. I didn't look that part up. But that'll be the first game back. There will be no Steph, but there will probably most likely be a LeBron. So that could be another loss coming out of the All-Star break. But after that game, you're going to have to make a run because you have inferior talent that you're going to be facing, and I think they can make it happen. So we'll see. As far as other teams, they're still continuing to lose games as well, so it's not just the Warriors. That's why the Warriors are able to stay around in this thick parity of a Western Conference race here where all these teams that are not 1-2 are bunched together. Hell, even the Memphis Grizzlies are starting to drop as well as far as the number of losses. They're down to 22. So anyway, in any event, 29-29, the Timberwolves are 31-30. They lost earlier on today against the Washington Wizards. The Phoenix Suns lost to the Clippers as well today. Man, teams are still losing games, so it's keeping the Warriors close. The Phoenix Suns are 32-28. The Warriors are 29-29. They're 1 loss behind these guys, and the Suns right now have the 5th seed. The Clippers also with 28 losses, and the Clippers have the 4th seed. So they're there. They just got to win some games, man. Put some goddamn W's together and see what the hell happens at the end. But you don't want to still be bunched up if other teams start to go on a run too. So hopefully the All-Star break do them some good. I probably will not watch the All-Star game. Steph will not be participating. There's really no Warrior participating in any other event there, so there's really nothing to talk about. But I will come back to do a show next week to talk about what other things that need to be done to try to finish off this season strong. And then do a second half of the season preview where we could talk about some things there. Hopefully I could get one of my boys on here to have the conversation with me and make this even more lively of a show. But that's all that we're going to do here for the week. I do appreciate y'all so much for joining me here on the WarriorSince91 podcast. It's your boy Izze Too Real. I will start heading out my email probably like next week. If you guys got questions, you can send in. I can start answering email questions, and you guys can submit if you guys got any ideas, that we could talk about or that you would love to hear about. The basketball knowledge is here in this brain. Nah, I'm kidding. But you guys, again, have a good week, a good, safe week. Again, happy President's Day, happy Valentine's Day to those who celebrated, and we'll catch y'all again next week. I holla.
I guess a little bit more macro, but just where's kind of the frustration level this week? Obviously you have the loss in Portland. We know what's going on with the Gary situation, the loss tonight. Just, where is the frustration level right now?
Yeah, I think our guys are frustrated. We've had so many close losses, and we're right up against the All-Star break. I think our guys, like everybody around the league, they need a break, but they're frustrated that we couldn't close out these last 2 games, and we just haven't been able to, to string together enough wins to kind of create a little momentum and some separation in the standings. So our guys are definitely frustrated, but we'll keep going. We got to just keep fighting, keep competing, and we'll see where it all goes.
Steve, Jordan scored the first 17 points in the fourth quarter. How do you see him read the game in that moment as far as, well, we need scoring, it's going to be me, versus now I should be a playmaker?
Yeah, Jordan did a great job bouncing back from what was kind of a slow start. He was frustrated early in the game, but I was really proud of him for the way he bounced back, within the same game and found something there in the second half and in the fourth quarter. So did a great job, and we were almost able to break through during that stretch, but not quite.